Chapter 4. The Impartial Spectator. April 6, 2023. Additionally, the fact that they would commit suicide only works to illuminate the issues of our society and acceptance of another person, which led to mental instability. Suicide is a problem. However, it does not end for the people around the person who commits suicide, the family and friends around the person. Emotionlessly, I would argue that this loss of a suicidal person is equal to the loss of another normal person. Whatever the suicidal person was thinking about before committing suicide, this is unknown to the family members. But that is also similar to the death of a person during their sleep. When people are suicidal, their thoughts are unknown to other people around them. If society has led a person to suicide, then is society the only reason one is alive? At the end of their lives, before they pull the trigger, does their desire to be accepted within society blind them from the punishment of suicide? I'm not sure if I should be asking such questions, especially if I will be thinking about them in the future. But it sounds very saddening that we have relied in our current day and age on societal discourses and activities that would make a person known and popular within their community. Social media, for instance, is more of a way of sharing a person's thoughts and their activities, their desires, and their pronouns to the public, as if our last resort is to share what we identify as with other people around us, then request that they call us using those. Does that make the man being called she, her, happy? What feeling is associated with this identity crisis that our generation is suffering from? It might have already started with one person changing their gender, then posting about it and having others follow in their footsteps. It is a problem that was discussed by Jordan Peterson on many occasions. It seems that a lot of activists are working to stop this woke movement. I wonder if this movement was supposed to be called that. Is it being woken, or is it being drugged into a false belief that approval from other people is important for a person's life? I'm not very informed about this movement yet. I find it to be counter to human species and their purpose in life. The speaker also said, a man can identify as a woman if they wanted, but at the end of the day, they would look at the actual woman sitting next to them and wish they had what she had. In other words, the identity that a person identifies as only matters to them and not to people around them. They would still have grudges and jealousy against those who were naturally born that way. There are multiple things that would change with the change in gender, I assume. Speaking from the vocals side of things, women's gender allow for them to reach higher pitches in their voice. It adds a specific timbre to the sound and texture that clearly identifies the speaker as a woman. On the other hand, men are given the lower pitches spectrum as they get older and past puberty. Therefore, as a generation, we have been trained, as were all previous generations, that the higher pitches are supposed to be filled by women, and lower pitches were supposed to be filled by men. Therefore, I wonder how our next generation would be like. It might provide some jobs for the LGBT groups to fulfill the mid range. However, I think that upon their changing of their gender, I wonder what would happen to this timbre. Someone once told me that I had to write something in my journal. I apologize for discussing it from that perspective. I just wonder if the timbre would be harmed negatively by testosterone. Someone once told me that I had to write something in my journal. I wonder if I can still recall it perfectly. Write this for your own future reference. You are not what you write. You are not what you read. You are not who you think you are. You are. I do not remember it correctly, unfortunately. Yet, I'm interested somewhat in the feeling. Or I think I was interested in the feeling of probably being what I write or what I read. I don't know. I try to be as honest as I possibly can. But then again, how honest can one possibly be? Honesty is one of the things that I struggle to keep up with. I'm not very honest, yet I try to transcribe my thoughts as best as I can. I still do not understand thoughts. Although I've been studying for quite some time at university, does university teach us how to think or what to think? Truly, they said that the method of reasoning with morals and ourselves as humans. Truly, they said that the method of reasoning with morals and ourselves as humans, understanding human nature as a state of nature. However, understanding this state of nature is difficult when we are taught that reason is a dialogue driven process from Aristotle's teachings and Plato. If we understand reason to be that, a conversational or dialogue driven understanding, then who are we in dialogue with? Plato wanted to call this mouthpiece of his as Socrates. He demonstrated his writing in dialogue form as a conversation with this fictional Socrates, yet I understand it that Plato has never met Socrates or hasn't been taught directly by Socrates. Another notion we learn is the impartial spectator theory, that a person should act as if their moral drive is an impartial spectator who directs people's moral action. Now, when it comes to this act of suicide, I'm truly interested in this. I'm truly interested in their moral drive then. If we are taught in schools that we would take the moral action from our impartial spectator's side to detect the moral action, then why are people committing suicide? Were they blinded from their impartial spectator somehow? If someone finds their lives lacking meaning at the instant when someone does not identify them as they want to be identified, then what kind of meaning did it have without their identity? If someone's life means something to them, why would they commit suicide and end their life so foolishly? How emotionless would this read to a foreign reader? In fact, I do believe that our thoughts will be judged when we die. I do not think that it is only the actions, whether it is to write about it or not, whether it is to contribute to this form of trial that is sent upon humans. I think that this identity crisis is a trial that we are being tested with.